Welcome back to the second episode on how to create variables in C++. Well, in this episode, I'm going to be showing you how to create a constant variables, meaning variables that cannot be changed. And also, we're going to be having a little exercise where we are going to be coding a very basic program that will actually add two variables together and print out their sum. Because I think it's time to actually start putting what we've learned so far into practice. So enough with talking, and let's just get into the actual lesson. Variables are dynamic, meaning their values can be changed at any given time. In fact, that's even the reason why they are called variables. So let me actually go ahead and illustrate how variable values can be changed in C++. So let's go ahead and declare a variable of int data type and call this variable number. And go ahead and assign it the value of 50 and semicolon. Okay, now we have created a variable called number and we assign it the value of 50. And I believe you guys know exactly what we're going to be getting if we were to actually console out this variable called number. We're going to be getting 50, right? So let's just go ahead and console this variable out called number, and I'll console out, and we're going to be having 50 as usual because number is of course equals to 50. Alright, yes, we have 50. So now variable number is equal to 50, right? Yes, of course, number is now equals to 50. So what if I go ahead and reinitialize the variable, meaning I assign a new value to this variable called number? So let me actually go ahead and do just that. Give it 20 semicolon. Okay, so before I actually go ahead and run this program, let me actually go ahead and explain what's going on here. In our previous episode, I've shown you guys a couple of ways on how to declare or create a variables in C++. One way is being declaring the variable and initializing it instantly, which is exactly what we've just do now. We create the variable, meaning we declare the variable and then assign it a value. So there's basically two processes happening, which is the declaration and the initialization at the same time. And the second way I've shown you guys, you can go ahead and declare the variable first, which is like this, without assigning in any value, and then assign the value later. But in this case, what you guys will be seeing is I've created the variable and then I assign it the value, and then go ahead to the next line and reassign it a new value. So what do I mean by this? And will the compiler accept this? If it's going to accept it, then what is going to happen? So let's go ahead and run this program to see exactly what is going to happen. Are we going to be getting the first value or the second value? Or we are going to be getting both? Well, the best way to figure out this is to actually run this program, because the output will definitely clear our uncertainty. So let's just go ahead and run this program. So we run it. At first we get 50, but let's see what we're going to be getting now. What? We get 20. How comes? Where does the 50 goes? We have 50 here. The first value we give to the variable is 50. And the first time we run the program, we have 50 here. But after we reinitialize the variable, meaning we assign a new value to the variable and run the program, we are getting only the new value. Where does the old value goes? Well, this means that whenever you assign a new value to an existing variable, the new value will override or replace the old value, which is exactly what happened here. The new value here we assign to the variable called num, which is 20, override the old value here, 50. So now variable number is equal to 20. So this is crystal clear. You guys have seen it by yourself that whenever you assign a new value to an existing variable, the new value will override or replace the previous value, meaning the old value of the variable. Well, this is a little bad. Come on. What if I say, for instance, I'm creating a very chunky and very complicated program, and I have forgotten that I have actually assigned a value to a variable, and somewhere inside the program I reinitialize that variable, and that variable is being used in several places inside my program. That means whenever I reinitialize that variable, all the values in those several places inside my program will also be changed, which is kind of a huge mess and may also lead me to a very profound debugging, which is of course very, very sad and frustrating. So how do we deal with this? Well, this is actually where the idea of constants comes into action. So if you want to create a variable that cannot be changed, meaning a constant variable, or you actually don't want others, or in fact even yourself, to override an existing value of a variable, then you can add the const keyword before the actual variable declaration. This will basically declare the variable as constant, which means unchangeable on read-only. So let me actually go ahead and show you guys how you can create a constant variable. So to create a constant variable, you just need to add the const keyword before the actual variable declaration. So let's go ahead and do just that. Add the const keyword followed by the variable declaration. So we're going to call this one pi. Of course, why not? Yes, the value of pi should always be constant value. It should not be changed. So let's go ahead and give the value of pi. What is the value of pi actually? Well, I think it's actually 3.142. Yes, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly, the value of pi is actually 3.142. Yes, approximately. So let's go ahead and put the semicolon. And yes, of course, this is a floating point number, so we shouldn't be using the int data type, because int basically stands for integer, and this is not an integer, it's not a whole number, it's a floating point number. So of course we need to change the data type to double, which of course it's the data type that holds or stores a floating point number like the value of pi. So let's go ahead and declare our constant variable. Let's say pi, and console out the value of pi. Yes, we are having 3.142. Yes, because that's the actual value of pi. So the reason why I actually changed the data type here from int to double is because the int keyword basically stores only an integer, a whole number without decimals. Because if I were to use the int keyword when creating a variable that will hold a floating point numbers, meaning numbers with decimal point behind them, it won't actually the numbers after the decimal point. Let me actually go ahead and use the int keyword here as I have before to show you guys exactly what will happen. I'm going to be getting only the 3, but it won't actually show the numbers behind the decimal point. So let's actually go ahead and run this program with the int keyword and show you guys exactly what we're going to be having. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, because it's an integer. So an integer doesn't store or support any number with decimal point. That's why it eliminates the numbers behind the decimal point and give us only the 3. But by using the double keyword, which is the data type or the keyword that actually stores floating point numbers, so we're going to be having our full value of 3.142. So let's actually go ahead and use the double and run the program again. We're going to be having our 3.142 in full. Yes. So this is the reason why I actually change the data type from int to double. By the way, don't worry about these keywords for now, because we're going to be talking just about them in our next episode. So just try to understand the concept of the constant variable here, because that's actually what we are talking about in this episode. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about the keyword. So this is actually how we declare a constant variables. Just by adding the const keyword before the actual variable declaration, we'll declare the variable as constant, meaning unchangeable, meaning read only. And the variable pi will always be 3.142. yes, the variable pi will always be 3.142 because it's a constant variable. It cannot be changed. So let's actually go ahead and try changing the value of pi, just like we've done here, where we declare the variable called number and assign it the value of 50, and then we reinitialize the variable, meaning that we assign a new value to the variable and we have the second or the new value overriding or replacing the old value. So let's actually try doing the same for this constant variable and see whether it will do the same thing like it does before with our number variable. So let's go ahead and say pi is equal to, say, for instance, 4.143. Yes, let's give a new value to pi and see exactly what will happen. So as you can see, before we move even any further, the compiler is complaining because there is a red sign below the pi, meaning that there is an error. Because whenever you see this red sign under any code inside Visual Studio, that means there is a problem. There is an issue there. The compiler, Visual Studio detects any error. So this indicates that there is an error. So even if I were to run this program, I'm going to get an error. Because whenever you see this red sign, it's better you actually stay and debug your code. Figure out the mistake, or else the compiler will figure it out for you. So let's actually pretend we did not see this red sign here and go ahead and run this program. We're going to run into an error. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. There is an error. The program is not going to run because let's see what it's going to say. Let's read the error message. The error code is blah 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 blah. Pi. You cannot assign to a variable that is constant. This is what I'm talking about. You cannot assign to a variable that is constant. Yay! Mission accomplished. Yes, of course, because that's exactly what we want. We want to be able to create a variable that cannot be changed somewhere inside our program. So this is actually the basic concept of constant variable. So this is actually my own weird way of explaining the concept of a constant variable. So I hope you guys understand it. And if you don't understand it, I think you probably need to rewatch the video again, and I believe you will at least understand something. So that's it for constant. So in the beginning of this episode, I've mentioned that we're going to be having an exercise where we're going to be creating a simple program that will actually add two variables together and print out their sum. So let's go ahead and quickly just do that. So we're going to be having, let me comment this thing out. Let's say exercise. So the program will basically add two variables together and print out their sum. So first we need to declare those variables that we're going to be using inside our program. So let me actually go ahead and declare a double data type variables. Say for instance we have the first number, comma, second number, comma, and then sum, which is actually the variable that would take the mathematical operation of adding those two variables. And then finally, we're going to end with a semicolon. So I believe you guys know exactly what we just do now. We just declare the variables without assigning them any values. This is just called a declaration. So let's actually go ahead and initialize these variables. So I'm going to go to the next line and say first number should have the value of, say, 45. Semicolon, and second number should have the value of 15 on 5, and the third variable, which is the sum, should have the value of the first variable plus the second variable, and semicolon. And yes, of course, the value of a variable can be an expression like such, because what we've been doing earlier, we have been just assigning a digit as our variable value. But yes, the value of a variable can be an expression like such. And essentially what happens is when you declare a variable inside a program and run that program, the computer first evaluates the expression on the right side of the assignment operator and get the result of that expression. And after getting the result, it will then uses that result to set the value of the variable on the left side of the assignment operator. So this is basically what happens. So now what I basically mean is, as soon as I run this program, the computer will evaluate this expression, will add the first number plus the second number, and get the result first. After it gets the result, it will then uses that result to set the value of the variable called sum here. So this is basically what is going on here. So let's actually go ahead and console out the result, or the sum of this two variables. So let's say we have a cout and sum, and LNL. Yes, so let's actually go ahead and run this program. So what are we going to be getting? I think we're going to be getting 60, because 45 plus, yes, 45 plus 15 is of course equal to 60. So this is basically how we write a simple program in C++. Yes, this is very cool. We write our first C++ exercise. Though I know this is not some kind of a pretty cool exercise to do, but I believe it's a very good idea to actually practice what you've learned so far. So this is what I wanted to talk about when it comes to variables in C++. We're going to be using them throughout this entire series, and you're never going to get away from variables in programming. You know, there's a saying, once a person understood the way variables are used in programming, he has understood the quintessence of programming. So make sure you understand this concept, and if you have any question or any suggestion, leave me a comment in the comment section below, and please be sure to subscribe and check out our next video, because we're going to be talking about C++ data type. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.